Hello, guys. Welcome to Resume webinar Overcome Challenges During a Business Lockdown. Our webinar is going to be hosted by Harsh Gupta, the head of our partnerships and CAM team. Over to you, Harsh.
Thanks, Aditi, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. Uh, Thanks for joining the webinar. All of you can post your questions on the chat, and we'll try and address as many as possible at the end of the discussion. Today, we are going to discuss a very relevant topic in the current times. How to overcome business challenges in the current situation where there is a lockdown and post-COVID situation once we come out of the lockdown. I'll just give you, I'll just set the context for the discussion and then I'll open up the discussion with our panelists. Uh, as we enter lockdown 3.0, you know, there are a lot of growing concerns regarding economic recovery and business sustenance. Right, a lot of businesses are under pressure in terms of managing continuity, sustaining, and all. Right, we have heard a lot of startups shutting down and letting go of their employees. Uh, just touching upon some of the macroeconomic factors, uh, International Monetary Fund has already revised India's GDP growth rate to 1.9%, right, which is significantly low compared to what we were growing at. MSME sector, which contributes 30% of India's GDP, is badly hit. There is already a 15% percentage points increase in the unemployment rate. Today, we stand at around 24 to 25% of unemployment, which is almost like a quarter of our entire population. Right? There is almost 20% dip in credit availability, and inflation has also gone down by more than 1%. With all these challenges, it becomes really, really difficult for businesses to sustain. Right? If I have to categorize sectors into three categories in terms of the impact they have seen, so first category of sectors are the ones which have been badly hit, and these include e-commerce, um, hospitality sector, including travel, tourism, and lending. Right. Then second category of the sectors are the ones which have got impacted but still are seeing some volumes in business. Some of these sectors are healthcare, which include pharmacy, insurance, and then grocery delivery, right? And the ones which have seen some increase in volumes because of the current situation are the sectors like utilities and telecom. This is mainly because a lot of their offline customers are now coming to the online channel for transactions, right? Uh, yeah. So that's how the situation looks like currently, right? Now I will open up the discussion with our panel. In our panel today, we have Rajiv Ramanan. He's uh, he's the head of global growth and tech partnerships for Freshworks. For those who are not aware of Freshworks, Freshworks offers a range of services and software for startups and businesses in their journey. We also have Chet Jain. He's the CEO of Crowdera. Crowdera is a cloud funding platform. Welcome, Rajiv. Welcome, Chet. Thanks for joining in. Rajiv, Chet, can you guys hear me? Rajiv, okay, great. So I'll open up the discussion now. We'll first cover what are the various challenges in the current scenario SME businesses are facing. Rajiv, if you can throw some light in terms of what has your experiences been in terms of what are the key challenges some of these SMEs are facing? Uh, Uditi, it seems Rajiv is not able to use the audio. Can you just check, please?
Okay, yeah, Harsh, I just made you the host. So can you go to the attendee side? I'm so sorry for the glitch. Or you just make me the host, I'll do the rest. I'll just do this. They joined as an attendee. That's the only. Thanks.
Sure.
Can you
Welcome,
guys hear
Chit.
me now?
Welcome, Rajiv. Yeah, yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh,
Loud and clear.
fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Rajiv, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
And
you for
Yeah. Sorry. Let me kind of repeat my discussion. Uh, so, Rajiv, my question was, in the current scenario, as per your experience, what are the key challenges you are seeing in the SME space? What are the key challenges some of these SME businesses are facing?
Okay. So I I think there are a few points to touch out here. The
Sure.
first thing as a key challenge that I face is uncertainty. So
Sure.
we all know that how consumers have completely changed over the last 3 months, and we do not
Right.
know when they are coming back into business or when they are going to come back into normal life. So what is going to
Sure.
be the new consumer behavior is something that is very uncertain for a lot of SMBs, and
Sure.
they do not know whether their business models are going to be existing or whether they should change their business models, or there's a lot of impact on uncertainty on that. So which is impacting their planning, impacting their how they are like build their whole business, etc. That is one thing that we see as a very big challenge. And
Sure.
the second thing is the primary cash flow. So
Sure.
since there is really high impact, especially on the offline businesses part, there is huge impact on cash flow, and we see that pattern across the country as well.
Right. Makes sense. So, Chet, are you also observing similar trends in terms of the challenges the SMEs are facing? Like Rajiv talked about, uncertain times, challenges with managing the cash flows. Are you also observing similar trends? Chet, you are on mute. Sorry.
hey,
Yeah.
hi. So, what I've noticed, especially looking at different geographies, we have privilege to experience all three different geographies from US, India, Singapore. The common factor that we have noticed is most of I would say 30-40% of small MSMEs, whether we call it SMBs or MSMEs in India or overseas, I believe they are already running out of cash. They're already facing these challenges, and it's not just about it. It's they're in a fix about thinking about their businesses, or they are thinking about their team, their employees. How do they sustain? I mean, the business models have, as Rajiv was mentioning, and you also mentioned, the business models have changed, and they have changed for good. It will have to keep evolving. The situation that we have been put under right now during COVID, and is going to define how post-COVID is going to look like right now.
Sure.
And yes, we have had experience right now. We have proven that we can work from home, we can do these things. But think about the hawkers. What would they do? I mean, I'm talking about small mom and pop shops, small mom and pop shop level MSMEs or SMEs that we can talk about, where people are working on physical goods, right?
Sure.
They will have to figure out a way to kind of reach out to their audiences. So yes, to your point, I believe the models have changed. Cash flow is a major issue for everyone, and not just cash flow. I think logistics to every part of the supply chain is affected
Right.
drastically at this point of time.
Right.
So at this juncture, what we need to figure out as entrepreneurs, as enterprises, is to figure out to create an ecosystem, a collaborative ecosystem, where we can, of course, run our own businesses, grow our own businesses, while also creating an environment that can support these small mom and pop shops, the MSMEs, the SMEs, the SMBs that we
Sure.
have.
Sure. Sure. So, Rajiv and Chet, let me kind of break this down into, a sort of a P&L sort of a problem, right? So, at the top line, managing the revenues, right? Managing the revenues is a challenge because a lot of businesses are finding it really difficult to engage with the customers, right? Uh, what do you think could be a strategy for these businesses to ensure they engage uh, more, more proactively with their customers in the current times and post COVID, and also ensure that they are collecting payments seamlessly through various channels, right? So, what do you think could be a possible strategy to address those things?
Sure. Raj, you want to take? Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So, in my opinion, I think this was predicted by the CX top CX magazines that customer experience is going to be the biggest differentiator for a brand, even beating
Right,
product and price by
right,
2020. And I
right.
think we've accelerated that by miles because of this
Mm-hmm.
pandemic. So the
Sure.
way a business is going to engage with the customer is going to define its survival, which
Mm-hmm.
means that today as a business, when I'm starting to think about my product, my audience and everything, I need to think about every single interaction that the customer might have with me in terms of how I'm going to reach out to the customer, what are the tools I need to reach out to the customer effectively, how can I, because everybody's on the web, everybody's going to be sending bulk emails. We are going to get back to those bulk SMS kind of days where you open up and you're going to see tons of promotions. How do we stand out by giving only contextual engagements with customers? That
Sure.
is one very important thing while selling. Identifying the right persona, going after the right persona through selected channels, and being very, very contextual and talking to them with the right value proposition. Everything is going to be super, super significant going forward because you get fewer chances than what you were
Right.
getting before. And with
Sure.
respect to an engagement of a company with a business today, the second part, I even see a lot of entrepreneurs changing tracks very quickly and moving into a digital world. So if you are
Sure.
a pure offline business, this pandemic has proven that that might be a huge risk for tomorrow. So even so, every business has to think about a hybrid commerce model. Everybody has to become omni-channel. They have to go where their customers are. Sell through social channels, sell through websites. People have to start making them differentiated through the channels that they are available in. Today, a lot of grocery stores near my house have started delivering through WhatsApp. So this used to happen a few years back when we used to call a mom and pop shop near my house. We just tell our name, give the list of items we want. We can go and collect it whenever we want and make a payment to the store and come back. Now the whole scenario is changing. I order on WhatsApp. I pay on WhatsApp. I just go collect the stuff and come back. Or in many cases, they are also delivering it home. So the whole way in which you engage with your customers are changing, and these are not difficult things to do now. With the kind of
Yeah.
tools that are available in the market, you can change your whole business to be a digital business within a few days. And all it requires is somebody to think through what is my business, how am I going to engage my customers, and these are the flows that I need to. Even that has become very easy with a lot of tools that are available in the market now. And the support experience, whenever now the differentiator is going to be personalization. So when a customer calls you for the second time, you already should be knowing who that customer is, what he has bought from you, how important is he for you, how significant is the impact if he's not happy with you. Pretty much everything in a contextual way right next to you should be available. And those tools are also available in the market today. So the personalized custom support guy can get is going to determine how loyal he's going to be with your brand.
Sure. Very, very relevant points, Rajiv. I think what Rajiv is trying to say is the businesses will have to evolve, right? The business models will have to evolve. Most of these offline businesses will have to adopt necessarily the online platform or the digital platform. Start using new channels of engagement with customers. There has been a lot of adoption of new channels. For example, contactless payments is very, very popular these days, wherein you just send out a payment link to a customer and they just make payment online through that link, right? Also, like Rajiv said, WhatsApp payments. That's another very popular mode that's picking up these days, right? Chet, what's your view on this, right? While these business models are evolving, what new things can we see coming up, right? Which businesses can adopt? Any new channels beyond what Rajiv talked about? Any new modes of engagement with customers that you think of?
Sure. So I would like to take a step back and just add on to what Rajiv and you were mentioning a while ago. I think during this situation, irrespective of what sector we are working in, there are certain areas that we need to touch base. I mean, first thing first, what everyone, I'm talking from an SME and a startup standpoint, is we want to ensure that they are in a position to keep the lights on.
Sure.
So I think the first thing first and I'm sure most of the attendees, if they are in SME sector, there was a report on Mint a couple of days ago, just 2-3 days ago, that 47% of Indian SMEs have already run out of money, and that's a big challenge. So I think the first thing that SME startups have to understand is how do they get into the survival mode. Now, when we talk about survival mode, is should they reduce their cost into the products and tools that they are using, or resources, human resources, or they want to come up with some innovative ideas in terms of how do they retain a certain amount of human resources for their primary set of work, core set of works, and the rest of the things could be outsourced to some other entities which can go online. What can go online should move online. And somehow they have to figure out a way to kind of reduce their burn, number one. Number two, they also have to understand that other than the necessities, pricing strategy will have to change for almost every other thing which has to do with either online products or online, anything which is intangible in terms of the physical, if it cannot be measured physically kind of thing, right? The pricing will have to change, whether it is your business or Rajiv's business, or any other business for that matter. And I think that most of us have to think about how do we strategize our pricing so that we continue to retain our cash flow, or keep it running. May not necessarily we get into the profitably mode right now, but this is something which is evolving where we'll have to think about things. And I think third point is extremely important. If we want customers to pay for whatever we are offering, right, whether products or services, your customer engagement, your customer success has to be rocking. And I think this is where I think new age tools have. I mean, a lot of us have done a lot of initiatives. I'm sure Freshworks is offering some fantastic products to people, and people are willing to use it. And a lot of organizations are offering discounts at this point. This is a very good time for all the SMEs to kind of go to their service providers and negotiate their pricing or reduce their cost or whatever they could do in certain scenarios. For example, Crowdera just announced a pledge of 1 CR for corporations and foundations who are willing to help COVID-affected families, health workers, or anyone for that matter. And these are in terms of our products and services. Essentially, a lot of our customers have reached out to us who had signed up for a premium pricing, and they have now seen what we are offering, and they have negotiated the prices with us, and we happily agreed to. We want to ensure we retain. So your customer engagement, leveraging some awesome set of tools. We can talk about towards the end of it what kind of tools we all are using. Sure. But I think at this point of time, it is extremely important to build that relationship. And this is where I think human resource, I don't want to say that we can replace humans, but I think this is where we should engage with the new age AI bots, AI tech that is available. I can shout out for some names towards the end of it. We know of a few companies who we are helping their partners with, just like Freshworks and yours, where you can transform your customer engagement primarily into your bots, and humans are involved. So you can literally reduce your human interaction. I think traditionally India has been a country which has not been very where we want to talk to people, where we want to see a face, or where we want to hear a voice. We are not very happy with a bot talking to us, but times have changed and people have started, interacting with bots. I think such innovative things that we need to figure out. How do we, for example, Razorpay, very kind of you guys to waive off your UPI fees to work with Crowdera, and that was an amazing initiative. We waived off our fees on such. I'm sure Freshworks is also doing something like that. You combine all these initiatives together, put human interactions into an algorithm, and see how you can automate basic process where your cost goes down. Now, this is one on innovative ways of handling your business. But there is one more thing that you need to figure out. If you're a larger SME where you have a workforce that is definitely going to be affected. For example, you're a supplier of maids, and now suddenly all the maids are out of service. There is no way you can do. you can still keep running your platform or a few things to people, but then you cannot keep paying those mates. I think these are the channels, these are the times where they can leverage, where they want to retain their employee relationships. Also, this is where they can leverage, your contactless payment tools via Crowdera or other channels. Anyway, we'll dive deeper into that a little later. But
yeah, so I think good points made by Chet. I think two things that definitely businesses should focus now is the pricing strategy. They need to rework on their pricing strategy in the current times. And second is definitely start focusing more on the customer experience, right? Because engaging with the customers has become difficult because you can't interact with them in person. So you need to figure out new ways of ensuring that the customer experience is at its best in the current scenario. Now I'm going to open up, the aspect of cost optimization, right? Cost has become clearly a very, very important and a relevant factor in the current times, right? Given that there is pressure, financial pressure on businesses, how should businesses optimize cost in the current scenario, right? Whether reducing the workforce is the right methodology, or adopting channels like Chet touched upon, right? AI tools or some of the bots. Is that the right methodology, or anything else that we should or the businesses should focus on in terms of optimizing their cost, right? Rajiv, I want to pick your thoughts on this. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So, as a general thumb rule, whenever there is a pandemic or a deep recession that is being expected the first thing that people do is to take a stock of their non-essential spends. Okay. So one thing that we've seen is, anything that is non-essential, like running your operations, like in an extravagant way, those things will be cut down. Number one. Number two, people will become very, very careful about their marketing spends, because the more money you throw, more people can see it, but will they actually buy it? So that is another big question that comes into a lot of people's mind. So the marketing spend are something that people really optimize for in this situation, and rather people go a lot more organic. So companies like ours, where we see this as something that is global, and we sell globally in most markets, we see almost all markets have the same behavior. So our outbound sales engine has completely shut. We are not doing any outbounding. We are not trying to go out, meet customers, etc. All that efforts are reduced. So what we didn't do is, we didn't cut off staff, we didn't send people home and stuff like that. We rather stopped hiring. We had a hiring plan for the year based on some ambitious growth goals that we took. We just stopped hiring and we put a freeze on it. And now we are focusing on upskilling, cross-skilling, and enabling our teams to get more relevant to the new economy. So this is a time. So there's a very good saying. I don't know who wrote it. When the sea is rough, mend your sails. So when the situation is bad, we are trying to work on skilling and enabling our team, so that when we come back really stronger. We are re-looking at a lot of processes internally, whether our billing is going okay, whether there's a lot of leaks in our collection processes. So we are doing a full length analysis across different functions, so that we operate very optimally, cut down unnecessary spends, cut down marketing spends, and focus on what is clearly essential for the business. That is to start spinning good stories that we can go to market with as soon as things are back, in whatever channel they are back. So that is one. Number two, we relooked at our complete tools ecosystem. So what are the different tools that we are spending on, and why? So can we automate a few things? Can we put bots for a few more engagements? So those kind of efforts came into picture, and this is something that we see a lot of impact on. We are able to actually see significant cost benefits coming out of it. On an average today, an enterprise uses 140 different softwares. Okay? So this is a time where we took it to actually reduce, we rationalize the whole portfolio of tools that we use. And we still are working in a much better fashion, because we are able to collaborate on a continuous basis. We have great tools today like Slack, Microsoft Teams, and others coming in, Zoom, and others coming in, where we are able to continuously collaborate. We have, again, our own products which can help agents also get with AI that helps people perform more than what they were usually able to perform. We are able to see good spikes in that. If you we have started focusing on only certain specific verticals that will do well in this kind of a pandemic. All our sales efforts today are moving towards we are not investing in industries which are struggling, right? So offline commerce and others, we are not going retail, offline retail, we are not going after. We are not going after education as a vertical right now, especially offline schools and other things. So we are going after industries that are spiking, like e-commerce, for example, pharma, door delivery. These are kind of hyper local services. So these are all businesses that we are going after. So another way to optimize your resources is to pull people from segments that are stagnating and put them on pursuits in these areas. So it's not like the whole business is down. Pockets are going up, pockets are going down. We just need to clearly note the situation, redirect our resources to make it more useful at this point of time.
Absolutely. So that's a very interesting point, Rajiv, you made, right? So I think from what you said, right, what I can draw out of that is reduce your discretionary spending, right? Reduce the non-essential spending, optimize on your internal processes, realign your processes, upskill your resources, and ultimately rework on your sales strategy, right? Focus on areas which are picking up. This is linked to my first point, wherein I talked about there are sectors like online gaming, online education, utilities, telecom. These are the sectors which are picking up in the current times, right? So merchants should now realign their sales strategy towards these sectors, the ones which are picking up in the current times, right? Chet, I would want to understand from your standpoint, what do you think could be areas, given the fact that capital availability has gone down significantly, right? It has dropped by almost 22%. Right? There is a cash flow crunch in the market, right? How can businesses ensure that they have sustainable line of credit or at least enough money to run their business? What all can they do right now?
Sure. So, yeah, it's on the thought process of cost optimization. What you mentioned and the question that you have asked is, I think, in alignment with what Rajiv mentioned about optimizing the tools ecosystem. So there are two ways of thinking about this thing. One, I think SMEs we can categorize into broadly two areas. One are like really small ones, and some are some decent sized ones, right?
Yeah.
Now, when it is when an SME is getting to an enterprise level or a mid to large level, they are growing. There is a different approach that we can, of course, take in terms of how do they optimize their resources by cross skilling, upskilling, and helping them grow in certain areas. Or maybe this is a time which could be a couple months to some extended time where they could focus on research for the new markets or growth into new markets or new niches that they could essentially identify. But when you come to a smaller sized organizations where the survival is the biggest challenge, I think there are a couple of things that they need to think about. There are a few thoughts that I have I know of a few companies which have done some very interesting things when they were in, not necessarily because of COVID, but prior to COVID, where their funding was a major crunch and the organization was like a 100 people organization or 200 people organization. And at that point of a time, it's a big challenge for them. They would run out of money in practically 2 months or 3 months time. And I think this is exactly the situation. For example, your runway is very short. Right. And you don't see any new funding coming into sight or new revenue coming into sight. And this is where an organization is worried about how do they make money or bring in new money, or should they keep surviving? It's that chicken and egg story. I know the olden, traditional way of doing things would have were shutting things down, thinking about it, and then coming back in action. But I think yes, we all need that time to think. But while we are thinking, we need to ensure that we burn less, and we also create some alternative ways of getting money inflow. For example, so let me just complete the previous example that I was saying. This organization, what they did was a wonderful thing. They reduced the salaries of most of their staff voluntarily, whoever volunteered for that, by almost 50-60%. And for that amount would be paid them to the staff in a deferred way, or they would get double the amount of whatever is the deferred payment in terms of the equity eventually in the organization. So it was a commitment from the organization where the cost substantially came down. I mean, you can definitely optimize your tool ecosystem, but when it comes to humans, it's a lot of emotions are involved, and without humans, you cannot run organizations, no matter how many new techs that we use. So I think that is one very good example that somebody had set up. I would not like to mention their name. I was mentioning them, but
Sure.
it's a very good idea for a smaller organization to set up that kind of one. I think second thing, what I feel is if any which ways your product is something that there is an audience for it, maybe they're not ready for you right now, or maybe at this point of time, timing is different. I believe they could. This is a very good time for these organizations, these companies, MSMEs, SMEs, to test their audience with crowdfunding channels as well. For example, if
Sure.
you are building a product and it's on SaaS, you know that during COVID, people may not necessarily buy this particular thing, but they can definitely test out the market saying, hey, this is what we are trying to do. We would be doing such and such thing. And we would like to retain, we would like to survive through this phase. Eventually, we will be in a position to do such and such thing. Because what is happening, I'm sure you all have seen, uh, the selling, the transactions that we see mostly right now in the market is either necessities or donations. So at
Sure.
this point of a time, if people are able to come up with the products and services that their audience will be able to use eventually or in future, they can get back to the intangible selling at this point of a time, telling these people that, hey, this is what you could do, and create some cash flow for them in terms
Mm-hmm.
of pre-selling their services or products at this point of a time. And I think this is a very good idea for people to test out on these things. And of
Right.
course, I mean, your payment services, customer engagement services by Freshworks, Crowdera's crowdfunding, and the syndicated fundraising solutions can, of course, help that. That is another one area. But I believe there are a lot of, yes, the capital is less, but what I feel is there is a lot of time on the hands of the VCs, the angels, and I think this is a beautiful time to build the relationship for
Sure.
the organization, and people are looking at alternative investments at this point of a time. They're not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily looking at only the tech companies uh, that has a great financial model, but people are also looking at smaller businesses that can fetch some predictable results eventually. So how you protect yourself from such pandemics or unforeseen situations in future, whether it is climatic disaster or such pandemic or anything for that matter, political thing, can you prove your business? Can you make your business you know you consider these contingencies in place and come up with a business model and take this business model to the angels, to VCs, to banks? I think people are listening right now. I think this is a good time to share your stories. And if you're not going for a crowdfunding approach, there are a lot of individual investors who have really pulled out from substantial major investments. They are seriously looking, personally within my network, there are a lot of people who are looking at smaller investments, wherein people are talking about, hey, do you think we should invest in this kind of a thing? And we are talking about somebody trying to open a small franchise shop of a bunch of retail outlet kind of a thing. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea at this point of time is start thinking radically, uh, and start thinking anything which you thought was impossible. I mean, before in India, it has been very tricky when people think if they want to go and ask money for certain things, people are very shy unless they have something tangible to sell. But whereas
Mm-hmm.
this has been a different model overseas, where people have been funding things which do not exist. I mean, we definitely had an example. If I have to go back a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
when Anil Ambani's product CDMA phones, which people had not seen, people
Sure.
were buying it without even knowing what CDMA means, and there were like
Right.
humongous sales. I think we need to get back to that mode.
Right. Right. Relevant points, Chet, that you made, right? So merchants need to focus on innovative models, innovative offerings, right, in the current times, which make sense for the customers, for the investors, and for their businesses to sustain. Right. So broadly, if yeah. So if I look at what we discussed so far is, in summary, every while things are down, everything is not so bad. If we can start focusing more on realigning our sales strategy, you know, uh, reducing our discretionary spend, right? There is a runway for long term, right? And start focusing on things which are growing, right? Then definitely businesses can sustain and grow in the current times. Now I
Absolutely.
quickly want to, yeah, thank you. Now I quickly want to touch upon, Chase, for example, Crowdera is a crowdfunding platform, right? How I just want to touch upon things, how Crowdera can help businesses in the current times. What are the various tools or offerings that you guys have that can help merchants, sustain or grow in the current times? How can Crowdera help?
Sure. So, what we have been doing a lot of rethinking since. I mean, I was in Singapore when I was seeing a lot of cases when people were saying that, hey, you don't should not be there. So I came back early March.
Yeah,
But then what I could see there, and we could foresee a lot of things, and similarly on this side of the world. So we thought about our strategies as well. Wherein how could we collaborate with other organizations and bring our tools and try to create an ecosystem where organizations can really build a sustainable, I mean, how do we add sustainability into cash flow into their businesses? For example, what we did was our crowdfunding product was always free for the last 6 years since the time we started. So it still
sure.
remains exactly free, and that's where we also request the only charge that we charge is payment gateway fees by virtue of Razorpay. Thanks to you guys. Some
Thank you.
some mode of transaction is now free. So so certain part of that thing is absolutely free. But that's a typical solution that has been there in the market. People can use any of the solutions. What we believed in, this is the time where people are working collaboratively, and syndication is the way where markets have come out even out of recession by syndicating together. Whether it was retail syndicating with larger corporates, or whether it was charities syndicating with foundations. So what we are doing at this point of a time is we are helping. We opened up our platform, which was primarily focused originally on large foundations and charities. So we have opened that platform to now corporations as well. For example, Rapido is one of the Bangalore-based bike taxi organization, and they really want to help their drivers who are taking people around. Unfortunately, their business does not allow them to pay unless there are transactions happening, right? It's happening. So they want to really help these people to do. And now, if they were supposed to just do a simple level of fundraising, it would have taken a long time for them to raise. But their 350 all employees want to join hands together and do something. And this is where Crowdera Syndicated Tech help them.
Sure.
So we help them create a fundraising framework where they have to do just effort once, wherein Razorpay is doing the KYC only for once, and the financial framework is set all for good. But Crowdera's tech is allowing all the 350 employees or different
Sure.
partners or vendors to start a syndicated fundraiser for whatever
Sure.
the purpose could be. The purpose could be helping these bikers, the riders, and it is taking matter of seconds. All the 350 would have life. So think about this: by
Sure.
simply multiplying the point of payments in your language, the point of fund collection, uh, all the compliance and issues were handled only once. Now, in matter of seconds, there would be not one point of collection as a one fundraising page. You would have 350 plus fundraising pages live, and these individuals who collaborated together are using their own network to raise money for the bikers. So now this is one cause.
Sure.
Why I was giving this example is any SME at this point of a time, if you think there is a product and you have a supporter ecosystem, strong ecosystem of 10, 20, 40, 100 odd friends, or your customers who like you, you love you, I think they can syndicate together to help you get out of this mode at this point of a time. Now, if there is a small SME with 20 odd routine customers who really like them, these 20 odd customers, without putting their additional efforts, can create a team fundraiser, a syndicated fundraiser for this organization without writing a single line of content. and these would be their ambassadors. So this is the time for people to build their ambassadors and also raise money with that. I think this is something the syndicated tools. I believe there are a lot, but then I think the syndicated tools is something that we can certainly help. There is another one I want to touch upon. I think what Rajiv was mentioning, I forgot to mention about this. I think this is a time for us to also figure out if there were hiring needs and we were supposed to do a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, COVID situation, we have to stop hiring. But there are a lot of NGOs that run skill development organizations, which are desperate at this point of a time for help. And I think this is the time, the cost from a traditional hiring to working with an NGO partner who have access to hundreds of talented, skilled workers, your cost substantially is probably, cut down by 75%, but still your, efforts, still your results can show up. I think that is where we also can help. We have over 2,000 plus NGO partners, a lot of them working on a skill development in different areas. So I think the syndicated fundraising and, the charity partnerships is where Cloudera can certainly help organizations. And we would love to kind of know and I think make an appeal to both the organizations, Freshworks and PayU, to see how we can collaborate and come up with programs, combined programs, which can help people optimize their cost and increase their cash flow.
Sure. Great. Thank you, Chit. Thanks for taking us through that overview. Rajiv, how do you think Freshworks can help businesses in the current time? I know Freshworks has already a suite of products in terms of chatbots and a lot of helps, a lot of offerings which can help SMEs. If you can, shed some light in terms of relevant offerings in the current time.
Yeah. So thanks for the question, Harsh. And I think it is, as Chet said, it is our duty now to give back to the society. And we've come a long way as a business and as a company. We have a lot of employees. We understand the pain that a business goes through when in a situation like this. So I think one of the most relevant offerings that we offer is our live chat and our bots product. So which is already connected with systems like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger, etc. So to go digital, one of the first things that people are going to need is going to be a domain name, a website, an email, and a website with a commerce solution with a payment gateway integration like Razorpay. And on top of it, they want to engage with their customers. So we provide all the tools that will help them engage with their customers. So our chat product today, you can run contextual campaigns. So when a customer is looking at your pricing page, you can pop up a chat to say, hey, there's a discount on this product. Do you want to talk about it? So if a customer wants to chat to you through WhatsApp, you can enable them. You can make people buy through WhatsApp. We can support pictures and bots and everything on WhatsApp. So if you want to move your business from and in WhatsApp, you can send links through Razorpay to collect payments for customers. So all those things are quite straightforward for us. And our live chat product also connects to Facebook Messenger. If you're selling on Facebook or other channels, we can directly integrate and support it. That is one major tool that I think will be very relevant. Another tool that is very relevant, if you are an Indian seller selling globally, is our call center on the cloud solution. You can set up your own call center on the cloud in under 5 minutes. And we are giving both our chat product and our call center product for free for 6 months for SMBs. So if it's companies that are less than 50 employees, you get these products free of cost for 6 months. And even for mid-market companies up to 500 employees, we are giving even our WhatsApp product free for 6 months.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. Thanks for highlighting those. I'll quickly take a minute and touch upon how Razorpay has been helping almost. In fact, we have been powering more than 3 lakh SMEs in the country for last 5 years. Right. So we have products called Payment Links, which helps merchants to just send out a link to their customers and collect payments from them. We also have a product called Smart Collect, which basically replaces cash and check collection, where merchant would be able to create a virtual account for their customers and collect payments from them virtually online, right? And the third product, which is very, very relevant in the current times, is the lending product, right? So we do offer working capital loans to our merchants, B2B lending, at very, very competitive pricing against the market, right? Basis their transaction flow, their transaction volume. and which helps businesses sustain in the current times. Right. Great. I'll quickly move on to the question and Uditi, if you can just share the top questions so far, we'll quickly touch upon the questions and then we'll summarize the entire discussion. Okay. The first question that we have is we develop website and Android application. What should we do to convert people from offline to online? Rajiv, if you can help address this.
Sure. So if you're developing websites and apps, so already you are enabling businesses create visibility through the website and the app. But if you are able to convince the businesses with a commerce solution integrated on your website components, and you can also leverage some components of Razorpay like the payment pages, which lets you create a page for different activities very quickly. I think that is something that can really start enabling businesses to go from completely offline to online. So an e-commerce suite with the ability to engage with customers and through omni-channel will be a great way for you to get started. In Android, you can actually make people build more freemium kind of content. And today, I think, as Harsh said, the gaming industry is booming. So if you have developers who can build games that are out there that people can consume, because people are sitting at home, a lot of them do not know what to do with their time. So if there is any useful set of applications that can be built out, those can be quite easily monetized today as well. So these are and if you can provide an offer where you can even go with a co-funded model, where a lot of development companies who are our partners do it today, right? So one thing that we've seen as companies that do develop website and applications make money is they take some of our solutions. We have a very structured partner program running. So if you are able to take some of our products and deploy it to your existing customer base, or make it as part of the product for newer customer bases that you're going after, there is a handsome amount of commissions that we can also give as a recurring revenue stream for companies like you. This will make sure that we are able to make people engage with their customers better, and also some make some money on the side.
Great, thank you. The next question is, what are the different marketing levers that can be used to come out of the COVID situation? Chet, can you shed some light on this if you can help us with this? Chet?
I was on mute. My bad.
Sure. Yeah.
So we certainly know that we have to cut the cost, and I think the first area where we want to cut the cost is marketing, because this is where most of the spend goes, especially when it comes to paid advertising. But this is a very good time at this point of a time to build your SEO. It's this during the COVID situation, everyone is facing different level of challenge and different niches that you are working on. If you can create content, if you can do your right research, go to figure out the topics that people are researching about during these areas, and come up with the right SEO content for your organization. That is, I think, SEO is one area where you can focus at this point of time. Number two, what I feel is there are a lot of influencers in today's age and time by virtue of because of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I think the number of influencers, we don't have to just bank on Bollywood anymore. You have a lot of these new tech influencers where you can align if there is anything that can be your product, service, vision aligns with any of these people, you can leverage them. I think they are the most watched set of people at this point of a time. So I think influencer marketing is another area where you can think of, a right pricing strategy, right alignment with your influencers could certainly help. And I think third area is, I think there is a lot of tools which are unexplored. As people go for Outbrain and Taboola for their content marketing, but we have a homegrown solution called Columbia Online, which is owned by Times Group, which gives a very good set of Indian diaspora audience overseas, internationally also. So there are many such unexplored tools which are very competitive. If you don't want to cut down on your advertising and still figure out a way to kind of leverage solutions like this, I think there are many such partners who are willing to help.
Sure. Moving on to the next question, what are the different fronts where
people can leverage?
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. What are the different fronts where the cost can be cut down? I think we have already addressed this part, right? And this is very, very dependent upon the kind of business you are running. So, like Chet and Rajiv talked about, marketing could be one of those fronts where you can reduce the cost, right? You can start looking at optimizing your internal processes. You can start looking at the applications you are using in house. uh, some of the products, off the shelf products that you are using currently, how can you look at some of the freemium products, right? So for example, Gmail or Google Drive, rather than buying a software which costs you, right? So looking at non-discretionary spending, uh, how you can segregate your spending into non-discretionary and discretionary, and then optimizing it is the best way forward, right? Uh, Next question is, yeah,
I would like to add a little thing here. I mean, two things. When I think let's differentiate a little bit. When we say cutting down on advertising spend and all is understandable. I think cutting down sales, but focusing on marketing is a good time at this point of time, because marketing needs time, and I think we have ample amount of time at our hand. So that was a little bit of addition that I would like to do. Now, second, I would like to mention I think a lot of tech-focused companies, their spend primarily goes on their cloud-hosted solutions, and I'm sure Freshwork is offering a lot of stuff. GCP, Google Cloud is offering a lot. AWS is there. Crowdera's clients we have partnerships with Google Cloud and AWS as well, where we can offer, where if there is any way we can help any of the listeners at this point of a time with GCP credits, Google Cloud credits of $3,000 to $20,000, we are very happy to help. And we have partnership with other solutions like HubSpot, and I would love to kind of figure out how do we partner with Freshworks very soon after this. So I think there we can help, where people will be able to cut down the cost as well. Anyway, over to you, Harsh. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure, no worries. Thank you. Thanks for the addition. Moving on to the next question. Should I seek funding now or wait for another year to seek funding? Yeah, that's a difficult one to answer, really. Very difficult to predict how things will shape up in the future. Rajiv, do you want to take a shot at that?
So if you look at the news every day, you're seeing a lot of companies getting funded, but they are all in the areas of growth. Like EdTech is seeing a lot of traction. Anybody in the logistics space, e-commerce space is seeing a lot of traction. So it will anybody building products for collaboration or employee engagement is seeing traction. So the space where you are operating is very, very important. This question cannot be answered like a blanket. Because there is money in the market, people have the money. It is, the pandemic hasn't eroded the money. In fact, if there is a recession, all the funds who have raised the funds, they have to deploy it somewhere. They'll be looking for businesses that will survive. So if you have a strong funding model, if you have a strong business model, and you are able to show growth even in a pandemic situation, and you have a great team, I don't think you should wait. You should talk to a few investors and see what they are saying.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed.
Great. Thanks, Rajiv. That summarizes it well. We'll now conclude the discussion, right? Rajiv and Chet, I just want to have one line conclusion from you guys. If you have to summarize it, one line, what would that be?
So, what I would like to say, guys, consider this as an opportunity. Let's not talk about pandemic, depression, what is happening. Let's take it as an opportunity and see how we can transform our businesses, business models. Business models have been evolving. Just figure out how do post-COVID situation will look like. Like the new normal would be ensuring that everyone is healthy and safe. I think our businesses would also have a new normal. So let's take this time to find out what the new normal would be and come up with a strategy to thrive in that new normal. And anything that we all can do to help you guys, we are always there.
Great. Thank you. Rajiv, what about you? How would you want to summarize this?
Absolutely. So I think this is just an evolution phase. So whatever we thought as businesses, imagine it to be like the 2K issue, right? So everybody was saying that, okay, this is going to change the whole world. Things are going to completely go burst and stuff like that, but we emerged very much stronger after 2K, right? So everything is a phase, and even here we are seeing that some people are doing well, some people are adapting to it. So it's just a phase. So depending on the kind of businesses, if you just see the market where people are gonna be, and just put yourself in your think about yourself. What are the kind of things that you will buy, you will use, and what you want to do in this situation, and build products or services around it. I think there is definite success.
Thanks. Thanks. So definitely, my concluding remark on the entire discussion, definitely there is a silver lining. We need to relook at our businesses, realign our strategies, and this is the new normal. We need to evolve our businesses and rework on our strategies, right? That's all we can do right now. There are definitely significant opportunities in the market. There are sectors which are growing. So we really need to relook at how we tap these opportunities. Right. With that, we end the discussion. It was a very insightful discussion. Rajiv, Chet, thanks for joining us. Thanks everyone for joining for this discussion. It was really, really a useful session for us and our merchants.
Thank you guys for having us, and thanks everyone who have attended. And if we are not able to address any of the questions, feel free to reach out to us. I guess we are all reachable. We have a lot of time now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Fantastic.
Yes,
thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.